Thank you. Queensland Health acknowledges the Turrbal and Yurruga as the First Nation owners of the land where QUT now stands, and we pay respect to the elders, laws, customs and creation spirits. Thank you very much for having us here. We are Queensland Health, myself Heidi, Dan, and we've got Paul. So today we were very, very excited about this opportunity. When we first met, our eyes were initially drawn straight away to CourtLink and specifically looking at referrals and Cairns as being our initial site to test on. So for us, we looked at it and we thought about the goals. So obviously goals is an increase in referrals. That's one of the things that we want to do through raising awareness. We looked at the quality of those referrals through choice and asymmetry, which we'll go through later. Some of the issues that came up for us were addressing the motivation around choice. As we all know, the environment in which they're first exposed to CourtLink, and potentially first for the first time in maybe only time if they refuse, is going to be a very stressful one in the court scenario. We look at the fact that there's low visibility of CourtLink further out, low visibility equaling low understanding, which brings access points and third party into our initiative. In our thinking, addressing retention, we're seeing not just the person, but their environment outside of the court. Let's go through a little bit more with Dan.
Cool. Thank you, Heidi. So as an overview of the theory, we've looked at it from a systems thinking perspective and also wanted to understand the actors within the system. So we understand their preferences and also their biases. So we consider that from Maslow's hierarchy of need. We've also undertaken an understanding of the trade-offs that those individuals will make from an economic perspective in relation to indifference curves. So for example, if I've lost my home, I actually have no employment, it may be a situation is that I sacrifice my needs for the needs of my family. So I actually do not actually want to go through the program. So I go to jail, I get my needs of shelter, I get food, and at the same time, my family then may be able to access other support services that I'm not aware of. So we're trying to actually address, through a lot of the programs that we've initiated, is address that asymmetry up front. So the person isn't actually trying to make those decisions when they're actually in a complex, high pressure environment. We've also looked at the design thinking, the Hawthorne effect, particularly from a public reporting and also accountability perspective. We've also looked at the illiteracy of the individuals that we're actually targeting, particularly around storytelling and infographics. So if we jump into the defendant to start with, in relation to the nudges that we're looking at, we're wanting to understand asymmetry of information, so early. We're also wanting to understand a automatic generated SMS, so not when they're actually come out on bail, about 48 hours after. So they've actually had some time to actually get their mental state into a position that they can actually make a decision. Address it to the individual, because theory is that if it's actually personalised, there will be an increased uplink, and also provide a link to that to go into the program to have additional information. We're also wanting to extend the hours of the officers. So at the moment, I think it's pretty much a 8 to 5, 9 to 4. We're wanting to open that up so that people have flexibility to maintain employment, and that also works with the public commission requirements of a flexible workplace for public servants. We're also wanting to provide teleconference facilities so people don't have a bias, so they can't actually get to the system. They can actually access the system through other technologies. We also want to have roaming officers, so the officers aren't seen to be, so that they are seen to be culturally sensitive, because there may be a situation where the court isn't actually seen to be culturally sensitive. And then we're also looking to actually improve the efficiency to help the case workers through e-referrals. We're also looking to partner, so collaborate with our partners so that we actually leverage effectively a coalition so they actually come on board with us as well.
We're just going to take you through a brief experience that we thought might be helpful.
The current situation, one of our key focuses to improve referrals is to increase advertising. Current situation is most participants hear of it by word of mouth from the court professionals. We aim to broaden that so that we can advertise through the partners. We put out a message that if you're on bail, there is a support program to help you. Get help. Just search CourtLink. That, because the partners are the beneficiaries of the referrals, we believe that they can be approached and to support the advertising of CourtLink. The documents was mentioned, they need to become more accessible, be less administrative focused and be more user benefit focused. so that the participant sees their own benefit in it rather than just sees the process. The SMS was mentioned. That's to avoid a decision to be made during the time when they're very stressful. Legal aid. I went into the courthouse and found an excellent booklet about the process. It mentioned that I had two options, guilty or not guilty. I believe there's a third option, which is a pre-sentencing diversion program. Thank you.